SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.
Toyota Brookhaven services all makes and models. That could be why we were voted best service department the past 2 years. Come see why. Exit 40 Brookhaven or online at ToyotaBrookhaven.com. Great service, great savings. At Toyota Brookhaven, we deliver.
I'm Steve Azar, and I'm on the other side of the microphone, meaning I'm asking the questions this time, and oh, have mercy for the airwaves. I spent 20 years in Music City, wrote and made some hits, traveled the world, and then moved my family back to the birthplace of American music and where the magnolia trees prosper. And now every time I put my feet on Mississippi soil, when I'm off the road, well, I'm at peace. On this show, it's all about hearing the stories straight from the mouths of the friends I've made along the way, their journey to success. Heck, there might be someone on, I don't even know, but you know how us Mississippi types are. We tend to take well to new company. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them. I'm Steve Azar.
It's just like that muddy river, moving slow. Ain't no worries, it's how life goes, baby. In a Mississippi Minute. That's right.
Hey folks, that's the voice of the one and only Ricky Matthews, the Ricky Matthews Show, Super Talk Outdoors, all over Super Talk Network. Dear friend of mine, I am so grateful for our friendship and beyond. Visit Mississippi.org allows me to have this conversation with the Coastal King, as I call him, the Gulf Coast King. I don't, it's been Mardi Gras. I can call him whatever I want, but he is the king of the Gulf Coast. And excited to have him on just to dig into a little bit of an introduction because he absolutely deserves more than that. He's the former president and publisher of 3 Gulf Coast newspapers. Nobody's name's ever been introduced before I did this, but Ricky's. So there you go. The Sun Herald, the Press Register, the Times Picayune. But after saying so long to that incredible award-winning career, he took a break and obviously joined the team at Super Talk, where he is a fixture. And I know Team Super Talk is grateful as well. It's a mutual thing that goes back and forth, as I get that. He's a viable voice for the great outdoors. I want to talk about that in particular today. I want to talk about his love and passion for the Gulf Coast moving forward. It's a special area in Mississippi that can make huge economic impacts, obviously because of the water and the history there, the food, the people, everything that is there is prime for the taking. And the world is evolving really fast. Between AI and all of these other things that are going on, we wake up every day to a new world like we've never seen before, moving way faster than when Ricky and I were kids. So I want to dig into that. So without further ado, my dear pal, Ricky Matthews. Hello, Rick.
Great to be back, my friend. How you doing, Steve?
Well, you know, I'm good. I've been to Vail, Colorado with Gwen, chasing her, as I said in the last conversation I had, down the mountain, because she's a really good skier. I've gotten a lot better, and so the last couple years that I've gone, I have not hit the snow. I've stayed on all my feet, both feet and 2 skis. That is not always necessarily the case. You grew up in the Mississippi Delta. You got the levees. You had skateboards and stuff like that. I was never good at that stuff. I like things that had balls involved, you know, basketball, football, golf, baseball, tennis, all that normal stuff. But anyway, I've gotten the hang of skiing, and we're careful as we can. But I got to tell you, you get done after the days of skiing, and you're going like, you put them up for good, and you're going like, I'm going back in one piece, and I'm going to be able to play my shows without crutches. I mean, that's sort of in your mind, like that's the goal, you know. But anyway, it was fun, and it's a blessing to get out there. We've been out there about a dozen times in our life now, and it's been just a place that I really can unwind. And you leave around this time, you get all the winter you want, and you come back, and there's spring just waiting on you.
Hey, listen, real quick. My wife Ann and I, we tried snow skiing. We were both raised water skiing, and we figured, hey man, this is going to be easy. My kids kids take to skiing quickly. You know that. Yeah. And my son Justin has been all over the world skiing. But Ann and I, our first time we went to Solitude in Utah, we learned after we got there that Solitude is not a place for beginners. we got there. And I made a wrong turn and it ended up on Double Diamond Boulders.
No way.
And I said, if I ever make it back to the bottom, I'm not going to ski again the rest of my life. And I couldn't find Ann. She didn't make the wrong turn. I couldn't find Ann. Eventually I found her. She was sitting down in the lodge waiting on me. She had already taken her skis off. So we had made independent decisions to never ski again. And we went and enjoyed the rest of our trip snowmobiling and
well,
the
that makes a lot more sense. And food and drink and all that is really what you sort of look. Après ski is like, oh my gosh, I don't really care what après means. All I can tell you is I like it way better than the act of skiing. But you know, it's funny because I'm not a beer drinker at all. I don't drink beer, but for some reason, an ice cold Coors Light or Bud Light or whatever, or Stella, whatever we had on top of the mountain, it just seemed to make sense. But, and also I'm just looking for any reason not to be as nervous as I mean, I don't do any of that when I play live. I want to be all there, but man, it's kind of scary. I've gotten really used to it, as far as just, you know, being able to handle the blues and all that. But the snow, they hadn't had a lot of snow out there. It snowed Friday, and that was not a day we were going to ski. It snowed about 17 inches on the mountain, which, Ricky, we're talking about outdoors now. So that being that dry this year, you know, the risk of fire, the risk of all these things, that snow melts and goes somewhere specific that helps them, with all the things that they need, moisture and all that they depend on, and it has not been good. And like ours in Greenville here, you know, I've got this pond back here that you know that's driven me crazy. But with that said, we've had no rain. We finally had rain when we came back. We've probably had 6 rains since June, maybe 7. And it's just been bizarre. So what's going on in the great outdoors? How does that affect the wildlife? And what's going on in Mississippi in regard to weather?
Yeah, you know, if you go back and look at the last 2 or 3 years in Mississippi, it's been incredible. I mean, a couple of years ago, we had incredible drought. In fact, I had William McKinley on from the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks talking about white-tailed deer. And he talked about how a lot of trees were damaged and some were attacked by insects and died, and that actually opens up the canopy. Incidentally, when you lose a tree and you get light onto the forest floor, it's very helpful. It creates food and bedding area for wildlife, etc. And then you add to that the recent ice storm, and that created a lot of tree damage. And
sure,
you know, the result of it though is that canopies opened up again. We were on our place up in Menor City, and you know, it was, you know, you could walk a little bit and then look up, and you know, we're going to have light coming onto the forest floor that we haven't had in a long time, and there's real benefits to that. But man, it's been crazy from too much rain to not enough rain to ice storms, and I don't know the way that translates. Incidentally, the coast of Mississippi is that some of the water around the islands is as clear at this moment than it's ever been.
Why?
Because we haven't had big rainstorms, etc.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that allows it to what? How does that work?
Well, what happens is when there's heavy rain, the Biloxi River, Pascagoula River, Pearl River, all of those complexes flow into the Mississippi Sound, and which is good. I mean, it creates brackish water, and it allows our shrimp to thrive and seafood to thrive and so on. So when you don't have that, you don't have all that muddy or fresh water coming out into the Mississippi Sound. And if you don't have a lot of wind to kind of stir things up, the water just gets so beautifully clear. I mean, I talked to someone who was at Ship Island yesterday or Ship Island the last couple of days, and they said, my gosh, it literally looks like Key West out there right now. So It's so interesting the way that weather patterns, you know, translate into different conditions in the outdoors that we can enjoy or maybe not enjoy depending on what the situation was.
So when weather comes in, it sort of shakes things up, you know, just like like you're shaking up putting in the blender.
I mean, you know, the bottom of the Mississippi Sound, you've got a layer of mud, but then below that is sand. So, you know, when it's rough, it can make the Mississippi Sound quite muddy. Or when, you know, there are big rains and it flows into the Mississippi Sound, you know, you get mud that way.
Does that affect our seafood at all either way, bad or good? Or
you don't want too much rain and you need enough. So there's a happy medium on all of this, you know. Wow. It's, you know, Mississippi Sound is a beautiful semi-enclosed estuarine complex that has some of the best seafood in the world that come out of it. But you don't want too much fresh water. That's not a good thing. And when you have it, we have so many case studies about that, about what happens when there's too much fresh water. It's not good. But the conditions are pretty darn good right now. I had Joe Spraggins on from the Department of Marine Resources on recently, and he said that the oysters coming out of the Mississippi Sound right now are as good as they have ever been. Salty and beautiful and fat and juicy. Yeah, incredible.
Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that right now? I hadn't had lunch yet. And this show, people have had lunch, but I know their mouths watering for dinner. We're with my pal Ricky Matthews, Ricky Matthews Show on SuperTalk Outdoors. SuperTalk Outdoors. I always start that wrong. With Ricky Matthews. He's on the air all the time on Team SuperTalk. I love my team over there and Ricky as well. Visit Mississippi.org. Appreciate you guys so much. We're talking the Gulf Coast with Ricky Matthews today. No one knows it better. The king of the Gulf Coast. We'll be right back. Go visit. Check it out. Don't you even think about not visiting the Gulf Coast this year. So glorious. We'll be right back.
In my mind.
Your next customer is searching online right now. Will they find you or your competitor? If your website is outdated, slow, or hard to use on a phone, you could be losing business every day. SuperTalk Mississippi Media builds sharp, mobile-friendly websites that look great and work even better, and they're more affordable than you might think. We can drive customers to your new website with powerful radio commercials and targeted digital ads on Facebook, Google, TikTok, Hulu, and more. Call SuperTalk Mississippi Media at 601-991-2305 or visit stmmdigital.com.
Hello. A Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
On precious stone, dangling off heaven's shoulder, wide-eyed, and it's time to go down. 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna fly.
It sounded a little bit like I had an ultimatum there. Ricky Matthews is my guest today, and visit Mississippi.org. The only reason I got a little bit, I think the word was adamant, was because I get excited when I think of Mississippi and all that we have to offer. And Ricky and I both, we want the world to come visit, and we want to visit within our own state as well. We believe in everything that we have to offer. I don't know if he loves Mississippi more than me or I love it more than him, but we're believers, right, Ricky?
Oh man, we are. Gosh, I mean, think about. Someone was on my outdoor show a couple of years ago, and they made a point that I love this point, that there are few places that you can sit right now in Mississippi and not be 10 minutes away from public land that you can go out and enjoy. You can go canoe or bird watch or hunt or whatever it might be. It's a very, very, very special place. And I actually had someone on from the state park system recently, and the legislature in Mississippi has been terrific in investing tens of millions of dollars in the state park system in Mississippi, upgrading, RV sites and modernizing cabins and building, walkways through forests and you name it, they've done it. And for people who haven't been to a state park recently, you ought to go look it up. You would be blown away with how upgraded they are and how wonderful they are. We're just lucky to live here, man. There's so much to see, so much to enjoy. And I personally can't get enough of it.
When I take a ride up to the levee, which is, about 3 or 4 miles from my house, and I just, we just ride it. And we look, we make our way from Lake Ferguson over to the Mississippi River, and we just look at it. And there's something about towboats and barges and, those tugs pulling those barges that I've said this before, I think, on this show, and maybe I haven't, but Ricky, it's like I've never seen it before. It paints this new picture. Like when you're always sending these pictures on when you do your Instagram of your sunrises and your sunsets. It's brand new. It's a new painting. But some of these barges and these towboats, they've got to be similar. I've seen, I'll go up there and see them. They all look the same, but they look so new and so brand new. It's like a first kiss, man. I mean, like being out there on the river and being on the Gulf Coast and being in our lakes that we have around, what the heck is it that is just so new and magical every time we go out there?
Well, listen, I have a friend of mine. I have to introduce you to him. He might even be a great guest for your show, but his name is Reed Geis, and he's such a special guy. And my son described Reed this way, that he has a youthful exuberance about everything, that every time he sees something, he may have seen something, the same sort of sunset 1,000 times, but every time he sees it, he is so youthful about his response to it. I mean, he just loves it. He can't get enough of it. You and I are a little bit like that. We can't seem to get enough of it. And when we see it through our eyes and people like Reed's eyes, it's a reminder that it makes us wonder about people who look at it and don't see how glorious it really is. These incredible, it's not just the sunrises and the sunsets of Mississippi, but it's these special places that you can go to. And man, we've got some of them here in the state. That's for sure.
I love it when I head up in and I'm climbing the hills and I'm getting past Oxford and heading to Pontotoc and then Tupelo and Corinth and all that. And it's all this kudzu, right? And then how the kudzu fades out into the Delta, like it just dissolves into it. And those drives for me, especially when I was living in Nashville, Ricky, coming home, when I'd see the kudzu fade and all of a sudden that highway got flat, I knew I was close to home and there was a feeling and the Mississippi was to my right. And I was going and it was right there, I could just turn and go 2 miles or a mile and I'd be all over the river. And there was just something about home that makes me, it's a memory. It just does something. I drive Gwen crazy. I drive her crazy with, Gwen, look at that. Will you come here and look at this? And And my kids back in the day when we were on these beautiful trips, even to like Oregon, and you're in all these giant trees, or up in Northern California, I'm sitting there going, look at that. And they have their heads down. And, that's pretty cool, Dad. I felt like I was in a Chevy Chase moment in Vacation. Like, come on. I want you to tell me exactly how I feel, not how you're feeling, because something's missing here. But I'm just a sucker for a beautiful view. I don't know.
Listen, it's so cool to hear you talk about it that way. Of course, being from the coast, what you just described about, coming from the rolling hills, sliding into the Mississippi Delta and the kudzu and where the cutoff point is for the kudzu as you get to the flatlands, et cetera. For me, that's something I never get tired of seeing. I mean, it's great to hear someone from the Delta talk about it like that. But we used to lease a piece of property, 1,000 acres. 500 was in the hills, 500 was in the flatlands. And, we've been able to upgrade along the way, but that's the one thing I missed about that place, that drive into the Mississippi Delta on this property. It was just so special.
You've talked about the time that me and Porter Wagner got into it at the Opry. I was playing my song Flatlands, right? And we got to stand, the place, everywhere we played it, it was just an honest thing that we would do that was pretty much on the rock side it was pretty rock and roll. And, so I got him being a little upset, but the crowd was on their feet and that's all that matters to me. And we've talked about this, but Flatlands just got re-recorded by, it's the biggest trophy. So Sean Murphy was the lead singer at Little Feat for a 10-year stretch. So be that lead singer at Little Feat. She also was, she's a beginning member of the Silver Bullet Band. She's been with Bob ever since. She's made records with, probably Clapton, I think. I'm pretty sure Clapton, Bruce Hornsby, all these, Steve Winwood, all these people, but also, was with Meatloaf in the very beginning with Hair. She's a legend. I'm talking, nobody sings like her. So I haven't heard her version. It isn't out yet. But it's like the musician, musician, whatever it's called. She's like a goddess when it comes to being one of the greatest singers on the planet. So I call it a trophy, but, I can't wait to hear it because you mentioned the Flatlands and I lay down low in my voice the whole way, but she's got this range that's insane. So or whatever she's going to turn it into, I just can't wait to hear it. But it reminds me of what you're talking about. You go from the Gulf Coast, you make your way through Mississippi, and not much hilly until you get to your property. You've got some place in Carrollton County.
We used to be in Carrollton, but
so you were in the hills there. But now you're in the Delta?
Our campus in Itabena now.
Oh, you're in the Delta now.
Yeah, the farm's up in Minter City, right. Yeah, we're 100% Delta these days.
But just that feeling of making your journey down here. You've gone to the hills and now you've gone to the flatlands. I love hearing that. What's it feel like to you when you're sort of your expectations of getting there, and does your blood pressure just drop to the bottom?
Well, it's so interesting, man, because like when I get to my place here on the coast and look out over the water, it has such a soothing thing. And Ann and I, we wake up in the morning, we look out and we never get tired. As you pointed out, it's never the same. It's never the same. So we're two people who really appreciate it. But it's the same thing going up to the Delta. I mean, when we make that turn in Lexington, headed toward Lexington off the interstate and work our way through and pop out at Chula and then, work our way or the back roads of the Mississippi Delta, it never gets old, man. I mean, come on. It's some of the most beautiful places in America.
Yeah. Makes this unbelievable. When we get back on the other side of the break, I think I want to talk to you about economic development, something that you're very, very passionate about, moving forward into the future. I know that's just something you're not going to let up on, especially when I've listened to your shows and, which I do a lot. When I'm in the car, I'll go back into the archives and listen to a lot of things. And it seems to be a common thread for you that you're sort of on this crazy mission. Not even sort of. We're going to dig back with that. Ricky Matthews, the Ricky Matthews Show, folks, on SuperTalk Mississippi, SuperTalk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews. You get the point. The king of the Gulf Coast is with me today. Visit Mississippi.org. Recently was doing a little Mardi Gras emceeing at the Neptune parade, the gala, and had a blast with those folks up there. Never seen anything like it. I had to come home and go, what just happened? We'll be right back. It's so much fun. We'll be right back with Ricky Matthews.
$20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
From the Seabrook.com. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When I was 16, I knew everything. Opportunity grew on trees.
Love talking to my pal Ricky Matthews of the Ricky Matthews Show on SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Outdoors with Ricky Matthews. Visit Mississippi.org. A big part of what Ricky and I do in our lives. We love every inch of our Mississippi and celebrating it. And there's some beautiful spots. We've also got incredible culinary skills happening. Great chefs around the state. There's being celebrated now. We're seeing a lot of commercials, Ricky, that you're seeing a lot of Michelin mentions now. We don't have the star yet, but I love celebrating our food in Mississippi, and the Gulf Coast is no exception, for sure. I can't imagine not getting up in the morning and looking out at our pond when we do have water in it, and just feeling the nature and all those beautiful cypress trees and everything, and that privacy we have in our backyard, and not thinking about what we're going to cook that night. It's just part of what we do. Food has become something that's Visit Mississippi is really just jumping in and jumping on now. And I'm so glad. I told Rochelle, I said, I think those commercials say it all. And they're celebrating these art form another version of Mississippi's treasures, these great chefs that can turn an average meal into extraordinary. And that's what these folks are doing.
It's special, man. It's special.
Do you like to eat as much as I do?
I do.
Okay. All right. I think you would. I think that's the first time I've ever heard you get quiet. I think you're thinking about dinner. All right. Let's skip on over real quick and let's talk about what I was referring to. You are on a mission right now. Things are heavy in your heart, especially after post-Katrina. You were a big part of that revitalization, a big part of the morale and the inspiration behind what it took to get to where you are today. Now we're dealing with AI. We're dealing with a lot of innovative things that are in the business world that you are preaching, that you guys have to get into the game to remain that competitive for Mississippi, which of course makes this big old economic impact. What's going on there that's troubling you or on your mind, that the challenges that you face?
It's interesting. It's not necessarily troubling me, but that may be a good way to say it. Someone actually talked about this mission that I have been on as being one of an agitator. One CEO literally described me as an agitator. And I thought to myself, well, if that's the way we get where we need to get, then I'm fine being described that way. But what I would rather people see is my passion for being aspirational. That, it's what I've been writing about, which is essentially that the coast of Mississippi needs to find its regional voice. That we're a collection of 3 economic development organizations in the 3 coast counties, and then we have airports and ports and tourism and all these different entities. The private sector, militaries, and so on, that we've got to come together and find our single voice on the big stuff, whether it's building mega sites like they did at the Golden Triangle and in other parts of the state, or whether it's finding ways to diversify our economy away from just government. And when I say government, I mean the military bases, shipbuilding, Stennis Space Center, et cetera, and gaming, which gaming is, as you well know, a big part of what we do here in coastal Mississippi, that we diversify in a way that gives us the ability to grow in other areas. Because if we put all our eggs in those baskets over the next 10 to 15 years, we're going to regret it. So I think we've really got to get aspirational on that. It's not a detriment to any existing organization. I think they're all doing fine work. But I think we need a Coastal Mississippi Economic Development Alliance, similar to the Golden Triangle and other areas of the state that have done this in a regional way, and find our regional voice on the big stuff. And what I've seen is there's more conversations happening in this regard. I think the Mississippi Development Authority and the governor coming out and saying that on the Gulf Coast Restoration Funds, that that's the funds created by BP after the oil spill, that we need to quit doling that money out in little bitty pieces and instead spend it on transformational stuff like understanding what our regional priorities are. That's where we need to spend our time. And so I've been writing about it. I've written like 8 or 9 columns over the past year, talked about it a lot. I've been on Richard Cross's shows talking about it. Yeah. And I've had literally countless conversations with people offline about it. I think we're going to eventually get there, but it just takes time.
How competitive do we need to be with our neighboring states, and then how cooperative do we need to be?
Well, I don't think we need to really be cooperative at all, to be honest with you. But I do think we have to be very competitive. Let's just take shipbuilding, for example. All right. We've got Bollinger shipyards here in Pascagoula. We've got Ingalls Shipbuilding, one of the most strategically important shipbuilding facilities in the United States. But what you're seeing in places like Mobile, in the Florida Panhandle, in Louisiana, they're doubling down on shipbuilding as well. So, we've got to really come to grips with, do we want more shipbuilders here? Do we want to increase that cluster so we can sort of protect the thing that's really important to the state? I mean, Ingalls is the largest employer in the state of Mississippi. Yeah. Incidentally, farming is the biggest industry, as you well know.
Which is a question I want to talk to you about. I'm going to dig a little deeper, but go ahead.
Yeah. But I think we've got to be, you can't go to where you want to go unless you know where you are now. I think where we are now is we're operating from a position of strength with tourism and gaming and the military and shipbuilding, all Stennis Space Center. We're operating from a position of strength. But if you start to look at what our vulnerabilities are, and that is that we need more diversification in our economy, and you start looking at what other regions of the Southeast are doing, it's scary when you think about the Florida Panhandle, the growth that they're currently experiencing, and how they're all in on a regional approach, et cetera. We've got to get our act together if we're going to be competitive. That's the bottom line.
Grab some water real quick, because I'm going to ask you, I'm going to jump into this farming thing real quick while you're clearing your voice, because trust me, I have to drink a lot of water. All right. So I don't know who it was you were talking. I was driving down the highway. I was listening on the SuperTalk app. So I was I was in mid Arkansas somewhere, and you were talking about farmers. And of course, you and I have friends who farm and is in the ag business going back generations, family members. That's what they do. I know there's a constant battle with Mother Nature, especially in the last few years, with prices, with a crop right now that they say is some of the best crops they've ever had in their life. You know how hard and how much it costs to have that, but obviously not going to get much for it. What's going to go on? I'm concerned about some of them really stressing now. Like, it's a legitimate thing. What is the government doing to help a lot of our friends out there who have spent generations, as far as family members, and this is their life, this is their calling. What needs to be done to help out a little bit?
Well, listen, I've had, it's a tough situation because it's been a challenging situation for a number of years for farmers. And the only way that they can ultimately make any money, or maybe not lose as much money, is to really concentrate on their yields. So that's where new technology and planning approaches and all that have really been beneficial to them. But when you think about, the tariff situation and what China pulled and what it did to really, first of all, China quit buying soybeans here in Mississippi, mm-hmm. and now there's a commitment to start buying again. But what China's doing in South America to work down in South America to create unbelievable new agriculture capabilities, that's not good for America. And I think one of the points that Andy Gibson played, Andy and I have had many conversations about this. Clinton Dunn has been on the show, who's president of the Delta Council. We've got to start figuring out a way to process our own stuff. It's crazy that we're farming this stuff, then sending it overseas to get processed and then sending it back to America. We've got to start processing our own stuff.
I mean, that's just crazy.
But there are some huge issues.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I want you to stay right there, huge issues. You know how these shows run. You and I have our time limit. Don't move. Stay at that point right there. Ricky Matthews, the Ricky Matthews Show, Super Talk Outdoors, Ricky Matthews. We're talking farming right now. And just obviously our friends are a lot of really close friends who are providing food and grain and all sorts of things that we have to have in our lives every day. The number one business in Mississippi is agriculture, like Ricky said. Visit Mississippi.org. Hey, visit a farm, man. Are you kidding me? That's paradise. We'll be right back with Ricky Matthews.
Up to $20,000 available for first-time home buyers. Hey folks, Steve Azar here. Helping is the heart of our friends at Guarantee Bank. They offer programs like the Home Buyer Equity Leverage Partnership Grant that can assist qualified first-time home buyers with up to $20,000 towards down payment and provide home ownership counseling to empower you on your journey. These funds are first come, first served. Learn more about this program and to apply now, go to gbtonline.com. Guarantee Bank, member FDIC.
Your next customer is searching online right now. Will they find you or your competitor? If your website is outdated, slow, or hard to use on a phone, you could be losing business every day. SuperTalk Mississippi Media builds sharp, mobile-friendly websites that look great and work even better, and they're more affordable than you might think. We can drive customers to your new website with powerful radio commercials and targeted digital ads on Facebook, Google, TikTok, Hulu, and more. Call SuperTalk Mississippi Media at 601-991-2305 or visit stmmdigital.com.
Family Termite is
Ricky and I are discussing Ricky Matthews shows. Ricky Matthews has everything to do with the SuperTalk Outdoors. Visit Mississippi.org has everything to do with me having the opportunity to celebrate Mississippi with you guys and beyond. We're talking farming right now, and our buddies out there, I got friends I'm sure that tell me that they don't miss this show, which is awesome, and they spend their lives on gambled soul. Every day they're gambling, and they're working their tails off. I respect farmers, I think, more than any profession that ever was. Salt of the earth folks, has a great sense of humor. A lot of great songwriters have come from the farm, I can tell you that. And I've witnessed that firsthand. There's something about the impossible being made every day when these folks are out on their farm. And I love them for it, and I appreciate it. So Ricky, we're delving into, you're saying that we have crops, we send them overseas to get processed or whatever, and they come back. I mean, what's going on?
Well, it's part of that global economy that we bought into as a nation. I think ultimately what we're gonna need is a plan that says we're gonna grow it here, we're gonna process it here, and we're gonna eat it and enjoy it here. We've got some work to do. So you talk about the cost of raw materials that, seeds and fertilizer, fuel costs is rising as we speak.
Oh yeah.
So all these things make it difficult. But then you look at the markets and what we used to get for soybeans and cotton and rice, the prices are just not holding up because of a number of different factors. And ultimately we're going to have a plan for America that is sustainable over a long period of time. Because as you pointed out, if you talk to our farmer friends, they're struggling, but the smaller farms are really struggling. Exactly. They're all really struggling, but some are just deciding to sell and move on. Yeah. And that land may or may not be farmland in the future. And we just can't afford to let that happen. The farmer is at the heart of America. If we let farmers go away, what do we have left, man? We're gonna depend on places like South America to send us our food. We can't let that happen.
But Ricky,
we got work to do.
You just said it. We have the land that makes it all go. So if you don't have the foundation to be able to do it, so to neglect it and not take advantage of it and let that be such important emphasis on making sure that we don't mess with that. Then we're making a big mistake. We're getting the natural, this soul that we have is a natural resource because it's constantly, pushing out new product every year. It's insane what it's capable of doing. Yeah. Just insane how fertile it is.
And we can't enable our farmers to struggle. Hey, real quick, in the little time we had left, the last time you and I visited, we talked a little bit about AI.
I'm getting nervous.
And I said that AI is going to be part of your future in a big way.
You drive me crazy.
So what's the latest in your world as it relates to AI?
I did something for you, but I didn't know I was doing it. I did write a song with a dear friend, new friend of mine named Marty Dotson, but she's dear now. She's awesome. Was a hit pop star, and then is killing it in Nashville right now. I was able to get to know her sharing the stage a few times this year and thought, I've been working on this one song, but I wanted the chorus to soar, and I felt like I was leaving something on the table, so I called her. And then I was a little bit negative throughout the song, and I knew that I wanted to be more hopeful. So I sort of let it sit and then waited for her, and we got on Zoom together, and we finished it. I actually finished 2 songs in about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So she goes to me, I said, you go ahead and sing it. Cause I wanted to hear her sing it, and it was beautiful. And she goes, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to put it into this AI thing. I can't remember what the name of it is. And I said, oh God, Ricky Matthews is haunting me. He's haunting me right now. I said, what are you talking about? So she puts the instruments in and she does all this stuff and all that. And I've never even seen this. And in 2 minutes, the sucker was a complete song and recorded. Now, it got the chorus wrong melodically a little bit, but it let you know what you could have. I went in and took it and put it in the car because that's how I listen to mixes that I do with world-class engineers before I send something out to the world, and I'll be doggone if it didn't compare and match. It was a little bit obvious in musical parts, a little too obvious, and wasn't as creative as it could be if it was a human being, but it let you know what the song could be. So I said, okay, Ricky, make makes some sense now because he's given me an opportunity to look at the possibilities without going in the studio and spending a bunch of money before you do it. But I still have to tell you, it worries me for the musician. I did do something that was much more fun than that. We're competing to get on this next Rock for Children album and did it with the kids at Delta State. And there's probably about 18 of us on it. And this one kid, we call him Zay, who grew up in the Stax world in Memphis as a kid. I wanted him to produce it with me. And he was wonderful. And I knew this kid's could be Quincy Jones. We made this record, and I wrote called Shakespeare. And there's no AI to it at all. I'm talking about this is unadulterated fun, man. We had the best time ever, and we got a shot at this record. So we're the competition's really steep this time. A lot of superstars that have taken their songs and turned them into not necessarily parody songs, but they are, their own version of these great songs for kids. And so we have something that's totally raw and new. And I guess I'm going to have to say I wrote it with William Shakespeare. I'm very excited. I literally took all his words and turned it into a song of different poems. So I can't wait for you to hear it. But I was so proud of these kids. Our time's up. You're the best. You're always right. Almost 90% right. 75% right. Ricky Matthews, I can't thank you enough for spending time with me.
It's been a pleasure, my friend. Take care.
Visit Mississippi.org. Lets me have these conversations with my pals like Ricky Matthews. We'll see you later.
I'm Steve Azar. In a Mississippi Minute, all 60 of them, where you can take your sweet time.
A SuperTalk Mississippi Media production.